So, do you remember that time Sony produced an iPod killer? Hi, welcome to the Mammoth Tech Show. I'm Jeff, and this is, or was at least, Sony's attempt to recapture the portable music player business. This is the Vaio Pocket MP3 player, or the VGF AP1 to give it its full name. It was released back in 2004 and came in two flavors, 20 and 40 gigabytes. Sony had produced the original portable music players, their Walkmans, but now, with the turn of the millennium, that market had changed and everything was going digital. And although by no means inventing the MP3 player, Apple with their iPod were definitely the biggest name in the game. And so it's unsurprising that Sony would want to try to regain their crown, and they would make that attempt with this. Unlike Apple's very simple design for the iPod, Sony's music player has a lot more of the look of a premium product and a lot more ergonomics in mind. This little pad here, you might think it's a touchpad like you'd find in a laptop, but it's not. It's the G-pad. It's a very unique interface, but it's also very intuitive. You move your finger across the pad just like a normal touchpad, but as you can see, this is an absolute method of control and not relative. So you don't gun the pointer across. Top left of the control pad is top left of the screen. Bottom right of the control pad is bottom right of the screen. And when you want to select something, you press in, and you'll notice that all these little nodules are basically individual buttons. Basically, this is a 5x5 grid of little touch-sensitive buttons. Also, the way you hold it is very intuitive as well. There's this grip here, which gives you something nice and sturdy to hang on to, and the rest of the machine extends outward in a horizontal or landscape format, making it very easy to use one-handed. And also these little screws are important too, because this is the battery and it could be replaced. You could take that out and put a new one in. User replaceable batteries. Now there's an idea, Apple. Having the battery here also means most of the weight is on this side of the machine, meaning that the weight is nestled nicely in the palm of your hand. This is also, as you can see, a color display, which was not a given at the time. Just like with most devices of this type, you could connect it to your computer and transfer music, and in this case, picture files to it. But it also had a little extra trick with that dock. You could use this device as a regular external hard disk drive to store normal data. And sliding this cover across reveals another USB port. This allows you to connect a digital camera. This means you can back up those precious digital photos whilst you're out and about. Probably the main initial issue with this device was basically Sony being Sony. Because initially, this wasn't an MP3 player. No. Sony wanted to promote their proprietary at-track format. And initially, this device did not support MP3, just Sony's version of MP3. And so this, in initial reviews of the device, was a big black mark. However, Sony did fairly rapidly come to their senses, and a firmware update in late 2004 added MP4 compatibility. They were a premium mark within Sony, and Veio products had that either premium or quirky or possibly both aspects about them. The metal construction and excellent design makes this feel like a much higher end product than Apple's iPod. However, that initial lack of MP3 compatibility probably caused a lot of consumer confusion initially, which the product probably never truly overcame. And of course you have to remember that the iPod was just one side of a coin. On the other was iTunes. And although this had its own software for transferring music, Apple had the whole iTunes storefront set up for several years by then. So if you'd already started to have a library of digital music, if you wanted to use this machine, then you'd have to convert that over somehow. In these days of streaming music, it's often easy to forget the power of the consumer having all their music locked up to one platform, one library. And that was probably one of the reasons for the lack of success for this device. And also, although this device is extremely good, they never came up with a successor. There was no music player version 2. This device was not on the market for very long, and we would have to wait until 2006 for another challenger to the iPod crown in the shape of Microsoft's ill-fated Zune. So just like with Betamax several decades earlier, Sony learnt the lesson that just because you produced a better product doesn't necessarily mean you'll win the format war. We bought this device back in the day, and fortunately it's still in perfect condition. It still holds a charge, still plays absolutely fine. But did you ever have one of these fine music players? Let us know in the comments if you ever had one of these, or if you had a Zune. If you enjoyed this trip down music player memory lane, please give us a like. And if you'd like to see more from us, why not subscribe? I've been Jeff, this has been the Mammoth Tech Show, and you've been very kind to watch. Thank you very much.